16 years traveling Aussie in a bus. A year-and-a-half trip on a tuk-tuk traveling from Mexico all the way to Patagonia, and spending the last 6 months sailing around in a yacht in the Indonesian Ocean. It's time to meet the couple who live and breathe adventure. We'll be talking about catching your dinner, trading with locals, and sleeping wherever the wind takes you. Let's meet the Drifting Pixels. And as always, we'd like to thank the sponsor of today's podcast, Dry Flush Toilets. If you haven't seen these amazing off-grid toilets, you really need to check them out. They're the cleanest, easiest, smell-free toilet that you've ever seen, and they recently won the best new camping technology in Australia. No more dumping chemicals or maintaining a composting toilet. Go to www.dryflush.com.au to see how they work. Let's get traveling.
Welcome to the Off-Grid Traveller podcast, where we meet the people who go off-grid and into a life of adventure, challenge, and grand new horizons. Whether on land or on sea, you'll meet some fascinating characters who've chosen the road less travelled and discover their best tips, worst moments, favourite destinations, and a whole lot more.
If you guys ever get a chance, Drifting Pixels, their Instagram is literally eye candy. It makes your eyes just go, why are they doing this? And why am I not doing this right now? And just as a very brief, you guys did 16 years in your bus initially. I believe that was you, Luke, and then a year and a half on a tuk-tuk going through Mexico. And now you've done 6 months in your Compass 28, which is your sailing yacht. What is going on? This is amazing.
Yeah, I don't know, man. We just like to adventure, I guess, and just live our life as beautifully and as well as we can. I guess that's just what we do. Yeah. I lived in so my bus I bought nearly 17 years ago now, and I always just love to travel. When I first went to New Zealand in '99, I think it was. I remember seeing a couple of house buses over there, and I remember just thinking, I was living in a little car. I just bought a car over there and just lived in that and travelled around New Zealand on that. And I just always wanted to live in a bus. So, eventually I did. 17 years later, I'm in a yacht.
Because I saw one of the quotes you put on there as well is that when you were bouncing around in the bus, you were like, this is the life, right? And then you jumped into the tuk-tuk and you were like, no, this is the life. And then I love the last thing. It's like, we're on a boat right now, this is the cake. Like, we're eating the cake and we've got the cherry right now. And I just think that's beautiful. That what do you think has been that the feeling that you get every time that you jump to the next kind of level, I guess?
It's just I don't know anything. It's just exciting. It's just adventure. It's something new, something different.
And less people.
No people. Like it's we surf and that, so we always want to try and find places where there's the surf. Like surfing's such a beautiful thing, and I can understand why so many people are surfing these days. But it's nice and even more beautiful if you can find places where there's no one. No one in the water, and that's what we do. We just love to just travel around, look for waves, and not just surf, but just adventure and just live. I don't know. I guess some people call it an alternative sort of lifestyle, but it's just a life that we love. It's not hard. It's not anything. It's just an easy lifestyle that we adapt to quite easily, actually.
It's just I'm looking at the visual as well, and it's just like, just so anyone who is listening to this, if you go and watch the YouTube version, they are literally it's like, when you see one of those pictures of two people just like, we live the life. They're on their boat right now, they've got the sunbeams flying through on the side of it, and literally you just said that you've just gone for a swim, there's people surfing literally outside, and it's like, God, it's tough life. But obviously there's the opposite side of that, is that because you live on the boat, there's so many things that you have to keep focus on to make sure that you can live there, and you've got to maintain things. And so that's always a question that people go, oh, it's the life and all that. I go, well, no, actually, even though it is a life, there's many things you have to focus on. What would you say are the biggest downs of living on a boat, potentially, like maintenance wise and stuff like that?
What do you reckon, Fumi? Let me answer that one.
I think for me, the less focus living the land because less focus
What do you
because you're doing everything. Luke's doing everything.
Oh yeah.
I'm just chill, watching view and sleeping, and then such a good life.
The hardest thing, I guess, is it's not so hard, but it's like when you're living on a small yacht like ours, weather is a pretty important thing. So you're always just, you know, constantly checking the weather and seeing what if there's systems coming or what the wind's doing, what the tides are doing, all that sort of stuff, and trying to always find, because living on a little boat like this at the moment, I don't know if you can tell, but we're rolling quite a fair bit at the moment.
Can't tell. It's
Oh, you
literally
can't
just
tell?
straight. Yeah, because I think your phone's going like this with it, so you're literally just.
Maybe we should start doing this a bit. Just
Whoa, I'm going to start getting seasick in a bit.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You know, Fumi does get seasick. She gets quite. Our trip from Australia to Indonesia was 7 days and 7 nights.
Wow.
And it was we've never sailed before. We just bought this thing, you know, a year ago, and we just thought we'd have a crack at it. And Fumi has never been on a yacht before. I've only been on a yacht 2 times before I bought this. So we're just sort of making it up as we go along. So it's for Fumi, I'm so stoked to have Fumi because she's so brave, and she gets so sick, but she still just hangs in there and does it. She was sick for 7 days, man. The whole 7 days from Australia to here, she was pretty sick. Yeah.
How did you deal with that?
Oh, we lost you?
Oh, we're back again.
How did you deal with it? Yeah. How did you deal with it? Music.
No, nothing. Cannot do anything. Just wait. I don't know how many days passing actually. I just
oh my gosh.
I just waiting to when finish or when stop the boat or
She just had headphones on the whole time pretty much, and
yeah.
the back of her head just turned into one massive dreadlock at one stage. It's pretty wild because she just laid down the whole time. She was, not the whole time, but for 4 days of it, she was pretty much just glued to where we're sitting right now and asleep. So the back of her head turned into a big bird's nest, big dreadlock.
Well,
I remember being out there. I remember when that happened. A day afterwards, I was like, Fumi, we've got to get that bird nest out of the back of your head because it was just one big dreadlock. So we ran out into the cockpit. Our cockpit is so tiny. And while we're sailing along, Fumi was down on the ground and I was combing the dreadlocks out of her hair. But at the same time as we did that, these beautiful whales, we've never seen them before, but they were like cross between a whale and a dolphin. What was the name of them? I can't remember what the name of
similar the
beluga whales.
Sorry,
beluga whale, is it? The small.
They're like they are. Yeah, maybe a beluga whale. Yeah, but the whole time I was there, it was a little bit of a romantic moment. I'm combing the dreadlocks out of Fumi's hair, and we're watching all these beluga whales jumping all over the boat. Oh, it was beautiful, wasn't it? It was incredible.
Beautiful, but I cannot feel anything because I'm so sick. It's beautiful, but oh my gosh.
Later, video for me later. I'll watch it later. That's amazing. Well, so that's incredible. The fact that you just started. You've been on a boat a little bit before, but you just started sailing. So, like, has that been a learning curve, or what's been? Yeah,
it's been a major learning curve, I guess. I always wanted to. I know because I've been in the water. I love the ocean. I love surfing, and I've always wanted to buy a yacht. And when I did buy it, I had no idea. And the guy that I bought it off, Nigel, if you're listening, Nigel's a legend. Nigel's the guy that I bought this boat off. And I bought it in Harvey Bay, and he gave me a 4-hour lesson. For 4 or 5 hour lesson, we sailed from Harvey Bay over to Fraser and then back. And then the next day he left and then just left it all up to me. I had no idea what I was doing, really. And then I had a friend came up and he was with me, and we sort of, oh man, I could talk about so much epic stuff that's happened, but yeah, basically it has been a big learning curve, but not too stressful. I don't know. Some people freak out and worry about all that sort of stuff. I guess because I've been in the ocean and stuff, that sort of helped me a bit to read.
Yeah.
You know, I can read the water, read the wind, all that sort of stuff. So I think I picked it up pretty quick. And then by the time Fumi got over 2 weeks into it, I sort of worked out by then how to put the mainsail up.
Yeah.
Do it. Yeah.
So I spoke. We had a couple of people on who were sailing across on a catamaran, and they said that they met people who'd literally just bought a yacht as well, and that they were doing small trips, just like on the coast and stuff, just figuring out what works, how it doesn't work. And they said that there is that learning curve, but once nothing's going to change after a certain period of time. You just know the process of making sure that goes up, that goes down. Don't go into dangerous waters. Keep track of where you are, and just doing that little bit of forward planning, I'm guessing, to make sure you're not going into territories which could have those wonderful pirates wandering around, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's all, just like knowing your limits, like I knew when we first bought it, I was like, I'm not going to go out there if it's blowing 20 knots sort of thing, I'll just go out there when it's nice and calm and get used to it. And then over time, your confidence builds up more and more, and your skills build up more and more. And then, next thing you know, you're in Indonesia. Yeah, it's been an epic learning curve. And the freedom is just, it's next level, man. It's just so beautiful. Yeah, it's great.
Well, because obviously my view is, and my assumption is that you're on a let's go with the flow mindset of, wherever we go is where we go. But do you have kind of a destination in mind at the moment, or where you'd want to go, or what's the plan?
We did, when I bought this yacht, so we just did our trip from Mexico down to Patagonia, and it was about a year and a half. And then COVID kicked in, and Fumi had to go back to Japan. It was a pretty heavy time, actually. And the tuk-tuk, we thought, that's another story, but we thought that we weren't sure when COVID kicked in if we were ever going to see each other again. Oh. And then when I came back to Australia, I was just like, this is my chance, maybe, to buy a yacht and sail to Japan and get Fumi. That's my whole thing. That's
rock
what I
and
was
roll.
Like. I came back, and I was just determined to get a yacht and sail to Japan and meet Fumi. That was my whole idea to do. But within 10 months, I got back to Australia, went to work, went to Western Australia, collected a whole heap of freedom tokens, and came back and bought this boat sight unseen. I just saw it on the net, and I gave the guy some money, and I said, can you hold it for a couple of months? You can keep living on it, sailing on it, and I'll be there in a couple of months, and then I'll take it off you then. And that's pretty much what I did. And then in that process, in that time of me working and buying this yacht, we actually got Fumi's visa. We applied for Fumi's visa to come to Australia. So, and miraculously, it was done within 10 months or so, I think. So Fumi was in Australia and she was on the boat, so we don't have to sail to Japan. But I guess the question you asked, where we want to go to, I'd love to sail to Japan. I still haven't met Fumi's family and friends and all that sort of stuff, and I think it'd be really cool to to sail into the port there and catch up with everyone.
Whereabouts in Japan are you from, Fumi?
Osaka.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been there before. It's crazy. But my recommendation would probably be go to Okinawa, right? Or do you think make your family go there, because that's just sunshine. That's a beautiful place.
Idea. We'll call your mum and dad and tell them to come to Okinawa. We'll meet them in Okinawa.
Okay. And then sailing too.
And then we can keep going around the world, I guess.
Take them with you around the world, right? That'd be fun. So do you mind me asking, like in the ballpark figure of how much you paid for the is it the Compass 28?
So the Compass, was it 24 or 22? I think it was 24,000. Yeah. Have to check with Nigel. Nigel's probably going to watch this. I think it was 24,000, and it was pretty much ready to go. It was such a beautiful boat. Everything was good to go. But we ended up, before we left Australia and came here, we spent quite a fair bit of money on it, knowing that we're going to live in it. And the engine that was in it, it was the original engine, and I had no idea. Like, you'd open up the timber box thing, whatever, I can't remember, I don't know what it's called, but you lift it up and you look at the engine, it was just oily and black and old, and I didn't understand anything about it. I had no idea, and I thought, if something goes wrong with it, I'm not going to know how to fix it. So before we left Australia, Fumi and I, we both ripped out the old engine and we put a brand new engine ourselves. We didn't know what we were doing, but we did it.
And it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, he know everything now, so.
Yeah.
This episode of Off Grid Traveller is proudly sponsored by Dry Flush Toilets Australia, home of the world famous Lavio Dry Flush Toilet. This patented electric toilet has no chemicals, is not a composting system, and can be set up literally anywhere in under 60 seconds. It looks and feels like an at-home toilet to use, but it can be used anywhere with no external power or water, and it still flushes. There's also no cartridge to clean or empty, and it's perfect for camping, caravans, converted vans, boats, tiny homes, or anything off-grid. Go to www.dryflush.com.au and use coupon code OFFGRID to get a 10% discount on your toilet order today.
Welcome back.
Sorry.
Gotcha, mate.
No, you're all good. You're all good. That was I just love the fact that it literally vanished off the face of the earth at one point. Like, that's brilliant.
We're in a tiny little village. They got these little towers and all these little villages all the way around here through Indonesia.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't know what happens during the day. It's like they turn it off, especially when you're in the doing stuff like this.
Yeah, but do you know what? If you want anything more authentic than people on the road, then welcome to life with and without internet within seconds. And it's just really cool the fact that you're moored up at the moment, but you've got got your internet, you've got your connection. Like this is the cool thing that I always speak to people that are on the road, is that even though you're off grid per se, you still have all the amenities that you need.
Yeah, that's it. We do. Yeah, it's pretty comfortable. We're pretty comfortable. Do you mean like as in living on the boat and we have everything that we need on the boat?
Yeah, well, you've got that, but then also, if you want to just chill out and you've got internet and you want to, update your Instagram to show people where you are and speak to your family once in a while. I love the fact that we're in such a world at the moment where you're literally free to pretty much do whatever you want and go wherever you want, but you're still connected anywhere.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Just the fact that you can, on Christmas Day we could call. We made sure we found reception at that, but we could call our family and friends and stuff, and to be able, it's like you're still there, but you're not there. Sort of thing. It's sort of like, whereas years ago traveling, we could never do it like this. So it's pretty cool in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah. What are your essentials when you go travel? Because I saw that you've got a couple camera equipment that you take with you to get some of those incredible shots. What kind of stuff do you love to make sure that you've always got in your backpack?
Water. We're pretty basic. We've done some hikes. We've just don't really think too much about that sort of stuff. I always have my phone because iPhones these days are so good for taking photos and videos and all that sort of stuff. I've got some pretty good camera gear. I used to do a lot of photography years ago, so I still love photography. I don't do it quite as much, but I take a camera with me every now and then. If I'm going to a place where I know which is really cool, I'll take the drone, get some footage with the drone. But in general, as long as we've got enough water and enough food, depending on where we're going, we just do it like that.
And drone, maybe.
Yeah, the drone.
Yeah. Okay. So it's more kind of like when you want to get those awesome shots, and because I like photography myself, mate, and I just think sometimes catching one of those moments is we always think we'll remember these things forever, but then you see one of those photos you've taken, you're like, I can't remember that. That was when that happened, and it starts triggering all these different memories. And then, do you remember that time where we woke up on the back of that vegetable truck and we were, blind drunk? Not saying that did happen to me, but it did. And it's just that's what I love about travel, and so that goes into like another question I have, like, because obviously, Luke, yourself specifically, you did that 16 years on the bus and everything beforehand. What's the addiction of travel?
Freedom. We're freedom fighters, I guess.
Freedom fighters, yeah.
Just the freedom to not have. We're not in the grind. I haven't been in the grind. I haven't had a full-time job for. Oh fuck! I don't even know. It's been so long. I only should work 3-4 months of the year, and the rest of the time I'm just traveling. And it's to be able to live a life like that is pretty That's the ultimate for
It's
me.
the
Obviously, if
ultimate.
you didn't have to work at all, but I don't mind. I don't mind going to work for 3 months a year, 2-3 months a year, make enough money to, live like this and live so cheap. Like now, living in Indonesia, it's so cheap to live here. Like we're budgeting on between Fumi and I. At the moment, there's not a lot of wind around where we are, around the equator, so we're motoring a lot. But we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and I think we're budgeting on $100 a week. Yeah, between us.
Wow.
That's with food, diesel, everything. But we don't. I don't think it's even 100. It's maybe $80 or something like that a week, if that. Yeah.
Wow. So I'm guessing essential wise, you've got your rice, you've got some veggies, and you've got some protein to keep yourself stacked up on food wise. Do you sometimes?
Yeah.
Sorry. And
you're just saying protein. Protein wise, is just fish.
Yeah.
We just live off. Yeah, we live off fish, rice, bananas, papaya, coconuts, and I've always got to have my chocolate. Yeah. Beans. Fumi loves beans. Fumi grows her own alfalfa sprouts or different sprouts and stuff. But basically, that's our staple diet: eggs, onion.
Because we cannot holding many different vegetable whatever, because very small fridge, and then cannot keep long, and then so we don't have much choice to holding the vegetable too. So that's another.
Yeah, we haven't got. There's not a whole lot of room on the boat for everything. So, but those things, like I said, there's little villages everywhere. So if you run out of papaya or bananas, you just drop the anchor somewhere and go ashore and rock out with the locals and get fruit off them and vegetables. Most of the time, actually, like yesterday, we were just sitting here. It was raining. We were just chilling, watching a movie, and you could hear, "Hello, Mister, Mister, Mister." That's what they call us all the time. And we're like, "Oh, we got another boat." So I stuck my head out, and they were there, and they had all these coconuts for us. So they gave us 6. We didn't need them because we already had 6 on here. But I was like, "Take the coconut,
just
take
give."
The coconut. Yeah. So,
ask how much, and then
no. They just want to give us stuff. So
we've got too many. Just take it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. So do you have things that you trade when you're out there as well? Do you find that there's things that the locals like to trade with specifically? Because we had a gentleman called Mick Becker who's on here, and he did a catamaran around with his family around Indonesia as well, and he said that he keeps some smokes for them because they do love a smoke. And stuff within that kind of range. Water is always a good thing to trade. But have you found there's been anything specific that they're like, this is what I want?
Fishing line?
Yeah, fishing line. I bought a fair bit of extra tackle over for the fishermen. Fishing line and sinkers and hooks and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, most of the fishermen coming over, so if they want to, we give the fish line. But they know, if we give how much you want to have or whatever you give, but they just like a 7 meter or 5 meters.
Funny,
and take more, and then but no.
Yeah, take over a massive line of fishing line. You say like, go for it, take what you want, but they'll only take like a meter or maybe not a meter, maybe 5 meters or 10 meters, and we're like, no, take more. But it's amazing because they live so simple. They don't need to have. I think we tend to, as Westerners, we pretty excessive sort of people. We want a bit more than what we do need. But these guys, that's all they need. So they'll just take things like that. Very honest. Yeah. But trading wise, we haven't really traded. We didn't, because our boat's so small. We didn't bring a whole lot of stuff over.
Yeah, and we no smoke and we no drink alcohol. So they asking sometime alcohol, but we don't have it. So always fish right.
Maybe you should get some really high level, petrol style alcohol, just for the locals, just in case they want some. Like, all right, you take one sip of this, you'll be sweet for the rest of the day, mate.
Actually, when we were in Sumlaka, we pulled in when we first arrived. We arrived in Sumlaka and we met a really nice fellow there, and he took us around, and we had some of the coconut soapy, they call it over here, and it's that strong. You have one sip of it, your eyes are on fire and your ears are burning. And we should have got some of that. Yeah. Should have got some of that and just, give some to the fishermen or whatever as they come. But trading wise, we haven't really traded a hell of a lot because we didn't bring a lot to trade with. But you know, like Fumi might make up a meal and it'll be
Mhm.
something that they've never had.
Yeah.
So they'll come to the boat and then Fumi will go, oh, do you want to try this? And then they just love it, you know. What's that guy? Remember he grabbed it? And we were like, Fumi gave it to him to eat, but he didn't want to eat it. Now he wanted to take it home and show his family and that. It's pretty cool, eh?
That's amazing. Fumi, so you're doing the Japanese cuisine, right?
Yeah, yeah. Most of I cook Japanese
Yeah.
food, and
I love a Japanese cooking. She's great. Yeah, it's beautiful.
and then some Indonesian love Japanese food too.
Yes.
So very popular Japanese food now. So if I cook Japanese food, and they happy. So it's so easy.
I love that.
Yeah.
What do you think was the biggest difference between what you're doing now, because and when you were traveling in the tuk-tuk for a year and a half? Because that, like, obviously the main difference is that you're on the road and you're meeting probably a lot more people, because you mentioned earlier seeing a lot less now. But is there been any other differences of it, and would you do that again?
Definitely.
Tuk-tuk, definitely, 100%. Next year we're going to go back to Mexico actually, and our tuk-tuk is still in Chile.
Yeah,
it's still there with the family over there, sort of thing. So I think whenever we want, we can go back and jump in that. But going back, what was the question you asked again? Sorry.
Just really what the biggest difference between?
The difference.
Yeah.
Isolation. Very isolated on this tiny little boat, and uncomfortable. At times it can be very uncomfortable. You know,
weather.
Yeah.
It's not only weather. Ocean swell and everything.
It's just the boat moving. The boat doesn't stop moving all the time. So, you know, we're always looking at the weather and trying to get a comfortable anchorage. If we can get a comfortable anchorage, then yeah, it's beautiful. But just being uncomfortable, not all the time. You're not always uncomfortable. We're used to it now, but you have to think about those things to be comfortable. Like, whereas in the tuk-tuk, we just
easy to found everywhere.
Yeah, a bit of bush
or someone's house garden or whatever, we can escape and then escape from weather. So easy, and then so many people want to help us to tonight stay here and camping here, no worries. But yacht life is different. We have to decide ourselves, and then we have to lead the ocean, and weather is totally different situation.
Wow. That makes a really big. It's a really big thing though, because you're adding a whole extra chunk of responsibilities for yourself by being on the water, and because of that, you know, even though you have no plans to stop this, because you'll probably be doing this for the rest of your life, including doing the tuk-tuk around the world as well. It's just, for anyone who's just starting out, right, and wanting to go travel, which one would you recommend first? Doing the bus life, the tuk-tuk, or jumping into the deep end of yachting?
It depends on the person, I guess. What the person's how adventurous they are, how uncomfortable they can live, or you know, like, because it's pretty uncomfortable, man. Like even the tuk-tuk was uncomfortable at times, but we're pretty resilient. We're pretty tough. You know? We'll sleep wherever, and you know, all that sort of stuff. But I think the easiest one, and I guess the van life thing is so massive now, that's probably the easiest one for people to get into. Just buy a little van or whatever and just kit it out, and then I got goosebumps, man. You got the ultimate freedom straight away. I fully got goosebumps. I don't know. The freedom thing is just such a beautiful, and everyone that you meet that has done anything adventurous sort of thing, it's something that's stuck in your brain and in your heart, and you just love it forever. And it's just, maybe not forever, but you know, circumstances change, families and jobs and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think maybe a little van or something would probably be the easiest, or the tuk-tuk, I don't know, or this. I don't know. It's all up here, man. It just depends on how tough your head is, your brain is, sort of thing. If
how much you want to do it,
and how much you want to do, and how cheap you can live too, because you know, it depends how much you want to work and how much money you want to spend. Like, our boat's pretty basic. The tuk-tuk was like just a tuk-tuk, mate. It was so basic. Nothing in it, sort of thing, you know.
Yeah, I saw on your. Sorry, go on for me.
I always go back.
Fumi always wants to go back to the tuk-tuk.
Oh,
I do too. Yeah, I do too. That
So
was
so that's
that was,
the middle road right there. So that's not the van, that's not the yacht. That's the we want to go in the tuk-tuk where it's a little bit uncomfortable, but you have the ability to sleep in the top, which I saw was really cool. Or
yeah.
do you ever just you camp out and just got a tent and camp out on the side of the road as well?
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, that's what we did a lot of the time, camping. You know, some places in the tuk-tuk where we went to, like in the cities through Ecuador and El Salvador, places like that, some places were a little bit,
Ropey.
or you hit dangerous and sort of thing, and you don't know where to stay sort of thing. So we'd stay at
Some
like little hostels and stuff like
Mm.
that, or get
Yeah.
accommodation and do that sort of thing, you know. But most of the time, we would just, most of the time we just cruise along and then we just look for a bit of bush sort of thing and just pull in there and sleep and wake up and continue on or whatever.
Yeah, and
Mm.
everyone just everyone minds their own business as well, really, except for in those cities where you do have it gets a little bit more ropey, and you're just being logical by staying in a hostel or something and making some friends along the road as well, right? That's what I've
Yeah.
always noticed with those sort of things because I've been in Asia for just under a decade, and you meet the best people in the world when you travel. I say this every single podcast, and I'll keep saying it. The best
Yeah.
people in the world from travel, they will have better stories than you. They will have better tips than you, and they would have had a better life than you. And I don't mean that like minimal. They will be happier. That's it.
Yeah.
Fact. Do these two people look angry? No.
Yeah, no, Fumi gets angry at me sometimes, and being in a little boat like this every now and then, we have these little things, but
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's
you're right,
between
travelers.
you two.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, in general, I think that's like anything that people do. If they meet people that they got something in common too, they always think they're the best people, sort of thing. But you're a traveler too, so when you're traveling, you meet people that travel. You've got a lot of things in common, and,
And then for our trip, maybe for someone, it's not best trip.
yeah,
Yes.
that's right. Yeah,
For us, the tuk-tuk trip and this one and bus and then everything very good, and then I love it too. But maybe some people don't like it.
yeah.
Cannot shower every day, and then
Yeah.
some people are handling this, and so I think.
Well, the good thing, the problem is it's us Westerners that's after not having a shower start to stink pretty quickly. That's, my wife's Korean American, and she never smells, so don't know why.
Yeah. So it's pretty. I don't know. I guess it depends on what you want to do, man. Yeah, that took the whole tuk-tuk trip that we did. That wasn't planned to be in a tuk-tuk. We were planning to do that on motorbikes. We were going to buy a motorbike each and just strap our surfboards to the side and ride. But like I guess the end goal was for me, and Fumi didn't really care. She just goes along with everything. She's pretty cool like that sort of thing. Was to get to Patagonia.
Yeah,
we didn't know if we ever would or do that, but
Yeah.
we did. But we didn't do it on motorbikes. We did it in a tuk-tuk. So
yeah. And just having that tuk-tuk, it gave you that ability to, because you had that up a bit, you had more space, I'm guessing. So it was a benefit. Oh, okay. I'm having so many questions come to mind. It's like, why did you choose a tuk-tuk? Like, what was the reason for the tuk-tuk?
We when Fumi and I met in Sri Lanka, how long ago was that now? 2014.
14.
2014, I think we met over there, and I was actually with my partner at the time. And that's a funny story, actually. We were in Aragon Bay in Sri Lanka, and we were walking down the street, me and my ex-partner, and I just said, Luke, and I looked around, I go, what the hell? And I turned around, and there's my younger brother's best mate, Orlando, and he was sitting in this green tuk-tuk, and I walked over to him, I go, what's going on, mate? What are you doing here? He goes, mate, we just bought this tuk-tuk and we're doing a lap around Sri Lanka. And I said, man, that is epic. I said, when you're finished, I'm buying it off you. So I did. I bought it off him when he finished, and then we did the same thing. We travelled around in a tuk-tuk, my partner and I, and then actually, Fumi, you came.
Pick up together.
Yeah, the day we went and picked up the tuk-tuk off Orlando, Fumi came with us. So it was me, my partner, and Fumi, and we picked up the tuk-tuk and we drove it back over to Aragon Bay.
Yeah.
Then I left. Then when we left from Sri Lanka, I gave the tuk-tuk to Fumi.
Yeah, I bought from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Fumi had it for
1 year, about 1 year.
Yeah.
his tuk-tuk and then leaving Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she was coming to Australia, and I said, when you come to Australia, give us a call. You know, I'll live in a bus and I can show you around or whatever and all that sort of stuff. And then she did. She came to Australia, and then, you know, one thing led to another. But the thing is, with the tuk-tuk, I guess when we were in Mexico, we flew into Baja, California.
To Port Escondido.
Yeah, but we went to Baja first, California, and we tried to get a van there, and we had no luck. And so we thought, the surf wasn't that good, and we were like, let's just fly to Mex City, and we'll go to Port Escondido, and then hopefully we'll find a motorbike then. So we flew from Baja, California over to Mex City, and then on the way from Mex City to a hotel that we organised, we saw a tuk-tuk on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And we had no idea there were tuk-tuks in Mexico. And I remember we're sitting there, and I remember looking out the window. Fumi goes, "There's a tuk-tuk," and I'm going, "What the hell?" And Fumi just goes, "Let's do it in a tuk-tuk." And I just looked at it and I went, "Yeah, that's mad." And I was like, "Holy shit, man, those things are pretty slow." And I just pictured myself going down the main highway through Chile on 50 kilometres an hour, sort of thing, and probably a bit dangerous. So I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then I was a bit dubious about it, sort of thing, you know. And I was like, "Oh, maybe we should on a motorbike." So it took us about.
I'm just wanna go. And he's just thinking too much, and then fuck, just buy it, and then if you cannot through the border, just sell it, and then do another plan.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about, crossing all the borders in a tuk-tuk.
2 weeks thinking.
Yeah, I was looking for motorbikes and all that sort of stuff. Then eventually, we just we started making asking people, where is there tuk-tuks in Mexico? Where are they, sort of thing? And we found out that they were in this little town. What was the town called again?
Rio Grande.
Rio Grande was the name of the town.
The tuk-tuk everywhere.
And there were tuk-tuks everywhere. It was wicked. So we jumped on this bus and went to Rio Grande. And as we're going, it was so cool. I got goosebumps again. It was so cool. I remember going on the way to Rio Grande, and we saw our first tuk-tuk, and we were like, yes, there's tuk-tuks. And then as we got close to the town, there was just tuk-tuks everywhere. And then we got off this bus, and we just asked people where we could buy a tuk-tuk and all this sort of stuff. And eventually we found a dealer that was bringing tuk-tuks in from India. And our Spanish was pretty horrible at the time. We were using Google Translate. And we organised for him to bring one over from India for us. We bought a brand new one, and that's how we did it.
Yeah. My cheeks hurt because that was amazing. Like, seriously, guys, like
So that wasn't planned. The tuk thing was not planned at all. It was just one of those things, you know. I was like, oh yeah, that's a good option. Let's do that. Yeah.
So on that note, guys, we're going to come to the end of the podcast, and all I'm going to say is that I'm 100% getting you guys back on in 6 months' time, because I want to know exactly what you guys are next doing, and I want to know more of that story, because wow, I can't believe that you you both used that tuk-tuk and you decided to bring yourselves together with a tuk-tuk and travel Mexico. It's incredible, and like I'm just. Oh, okay. There's a lot for my brain to take in with you two at the moment. So, like, thank you so much for coming on, and everyone who's watching and listening, go and follow these two, Drifting Pixels, who are absolutely amazing couple.
If you or someone you know would be an interesting guest on the show, we'd love to hear from you. We love speaking to everyday people who've taken to the open road or open seas for an extended period of time, or anyone that's set up their life in an off-grid location. Please email guest@offgridtraveller.com.au to get in touch. That's 2 L's in Traveller.
If you like that video, you'll probably like this one, and you'll really love this one. And as always, we want to thank you for joining us. And if you want to like and subscribe, it really helps the channel grow, and it means that we can talk about more travel, get more tips, and everything off grid. Cheers.